Let's make a Wild West themed platform. So it's getting close to Halloween, and it's never too early to start. And so I decided to start working on one of my 3 platforms, which will be Wild West themed. So I have 5 Wild West themed buildings already. I've gotten all of these on eBay. Thank you, eBay. And I am still looking for 4 more big pieces for the Wild West theme. All the other smaller figures, I will get those later. I'm also thinking about sculpting some of them as well. But my main focus right now are the buildings. So what I first did is I got all them out and I put them on the platform where I thought they would look nice. Now, something to keep in mind is that this is a very rough draft. I will be layering up a lot with, I have a 1/2-inch foam back here, and I'll use that to layer up sort of a slope so these back buildings are also visible. But just initially I wanted to see how space looked on this. Now, one other thing is that this is about 2.5 inches shorter. We're talking about width than it will be in the end because I wanted to have space in the back for cords. So I will layer foam out about to here on top. So there'll be a little tunnel in the back for all the cords to go through. So that's why some of these are sticking off. And another thing you're probably noticing is I have stuff written on the board. That's because I'm still looking for the Halloween Jamboree, the Black Coal Mine, and the Morgue. I'm also planning on getting the Deadwood Water Tower. However, I still need to figure out where I want that to go. It may be placed on the other platform next to this one. I don't know for sure yet. So this is just the first step I am going to do. I haven't made one before, so I'm going to be learning alongside you guys. Alright, so the first layer is now on, and I'm going to try and weigh it down, make sure it does not come up while it is curing, and I should only have to hold it for about 3 to 10 minutes. I will also be adding on some smaller pieces, like that there, and these 2 will be going there. These cracks. Second layer of expanding foam has been laid. And here goes the other piece of foam. Alright, now I'm going through and adding in pieces of foam to help bulk out areas that need to be bulked out. So, on top of filling in the slope to make it look better, I'm also filling in cracks with it, like I did over here. So I take this plastic wrap that was on the foam, I'm just reusing it, and I just go over the foam and smooth it out. Boom! That was a perfect pass. Alright, so I'm going to let this cure and just completely solidify, and then we're going to move outside and get ready to carve with the hot knife. I will see you then. And here we are in the outdoors because cutting foam is smelly. Well, when you use the hot knife. So, I have this mask, and I'm going to get this thing set up. Using dry decks, heavyweight spackling to fill in the cracks and help build up some different areas. Alright guys, so it is all dry now. I gave it about 5 days to just dry fully before I sand. And yeah, I think this is the only spot that needs a little bit more time possibly, because it was pretty thick right there. Everything else should be fine. So I have some block sanders and then regular sandpaper, and so we're gonna see what works. All right, it's time to seal this thing. So I got that piece cut out for the outlet, and now it's time to use Mod Podge, matte, and then this acrylic paint. I'm going to use Coral to give it a first base coat, but also, like I said, to seal it. I have never made a platform before, but I know a lot of people have used Mod Podge to seal their platforms, and so I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to use a ton to cover this entire thing. Mod Podge is not expensive, so I'm okay if I have some left over. There we go. Alright, and here we go with the first layer. Alright, now that this is all primed and sealed and dried with the Mod Podge mixture, I'm now going to go through and put all the buildings onto the platform so that I can figure out where I need to cut out little tunnels for the cords. Alright, here we are on the back side. And let's start over here with the Dead Man's Mine. So, looks good where it's angled, and so I'm just probably going to have it go here. Just like right about here would be good. Here, that's where the plugin is. A triangle shape. Alrighty, so I'm outside and I decided to use the hot knife to cut some holes through the foam to get the cords through for these upper two buildings. And then I'm also going to add on a tunnel to this mountain, and it will double as a path for the cord to go through. Alright, so I have finished cutting out these tunnels. They go all the way through. There's that one hard to see to get. And then I cut out this big tunnel. And this one will be a extra mine, like I said, but it'll also be for the cord for the black coal mine. And now it's time for paint. I'm going to start off with the basic paint that's going to be under the sand. That color will be a little lighter than it is on the sides. And I'm going to need a lot of it. It is medium flesh. What an interesting name for a paint color. Milk chocolate, terracotta color to them as well. So the edges of this will be black. I'm just going to be painting the surfaces that will have a sandy texture to them. So let's do it. It is a very similar color to what's already on there. It's not the exact same color, but that's good that the base color is similar because it makes it easier to get the full paint coat on there. Alright, so my camera cut out while I was recording this, but essentially what I did is I put the first coat on. Alright, then to add some detail onto the sandstone, I'm going to dry brush. And so to do that I'm going to use this coral color because I actually really liked how it turned out on the base coat. But I'm also going to add in some terracotta to that to help blend it in with the colors on the sandstone. Obviously not so much that you don't see the dry brush, but yeah, that's the plan. You can already see the details popping better with this added on. Alright, the third step for painting the sandstone is I'm going to get an even lighter color, just the coral, without any darker paints. I'm going to dry brush it on. Then lastly, I'm going to do a wash, which should tie it all together. Okay, so touched up these areas. It is looking fantastic here. And now my plan for the rocky areas. I've thought about it. I checked the Dead Man's Mine, and that has obviously a grayish color to the mountain, but it's sort of tinted like reddish, purplish. It's very faint, but if you've painted well, you know what to look for when you're looking at paints to figure out how to mix it. The Tombstone Quarry has more of just your standard dark gray that's not tinted with any of the primary colors. And so I'm just going to use dark gray on this, and then it'll transition into that more slightly reddish dark gray, if you know what I'm saying. This will take a few coats because the base is, you know, tan, so. Alright, so 3 coats are now done, and it's looking really good. So now what I have to do to make it look less flat is I'm going to first dry brush using this color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this other mountain, and then I will see if I think I need a wash. Alright, so I have a new paint, and I'm going to dry brush it onto this mountain here. Alright, so it is looking amazing. I am really happy with the paint job for pretty much the whole thing. I can't think of anything else at this point that I need to add. I love it. So I need to now go around and paint this black. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on sand. This is sand from Hobby Lobby, only $2.49, very cheap. I got the brown color. I also got a sort of tannish yellow color for when I do my Egypt platform, which actually won't be this year, it'll be next year, but I thought I'd get it just so I have it. The plan is I'm going to use this tacky glue. I'm going to put a layer in the area I want sand, put sand on, another layer, sand, and then once the sand is all over the sandy areas and it's completely covered, then I'm going to use a mixture of this white Mod Podge and water, and I'm going to go through with this dropper and just drop it literally everywhere and just let it soak between all the grains and just hold it in place. Alright, here is where we are at with progress, and the sand was a success. It has had 24 hours to dry, and I'm rubbing my hand across it like I'd say pretty aggressively. Nothing. Nothing comes off. I mean, that literally worked so good. And I am really glad. Which not only will it make it easier to dry brush over the sand, which is what I want to do, also, it will make it so whenever I put buildings on the sand will stay there, right? It won't be rubbed off. Okay, so I'm just going to use one color, Sun-Kissed Peach. Looks like it would matches pretty well. Dry brush is ready. Let's see how it works. I might need to change some things around. I might need more color on it. We'll just see as we go. On this color, and I'm going to make sure I really brush it in so that the texture still shows through. And then after that, I'm going to then dry brush on a variety of colors to help make it pop, and that should look good. I'm going to use coral paint. I'm going to paint it all over and then wipe it off with this, and hopefully that will leave this color, the bright color, on the top of the sand, little grains, and then in the cracks will be the darker color. Alright, so painting is done. I've added on all the details, except for some things that I want to sculpt. I want to make some wooden boards that are on the sides of the mountains to sort of resemble a makeshift ladder that the people can come up to go work. And I also want to have a wooden board coming out of the little cave. And then I also want to have some mine tracks in there, and possibly a little mine cart with a skeleton inside. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so the batch of wooden planks is done, and as you can see, they look really detailed. I'm really happy with how they came out. They're gonna look much better once I put a black base coat on them and then do a brown dry brush. They're gonna look amazing. Alright, and now that these have all been cooked, I'm going to give them all a base coat of black. As you can see, I've started painting. It's very simple for especially the wood planks. I'm just doing a brown dry brush, and that's it. Here are all the figures after they were painted. Looking good. But before I glue anything on, we need to put all of the Wild West buildings onto the platform so that I know where I can glue stuff and not have it be in the way of the buildings. Now, I'm not going to turn it on yet, but like I said, am going to go through and glue these things on. I got all that stuff glued on. The last stuff I have to add on are the shrubs and the greenery. So I have these bushes, detachable grass bushes. I've never used them before. I hope it's going to be easy to get those on. Should be. And then I'm going to add this stuff around the bushes. Wherever I put them, I'm going to just use like tacky glue. Put some of this down. Not a ton, and it's important to not go overboard when adding stuff on like that, because it can be very easy to. But it looks better if you dial it back and only add in a certain amount. So I'm going to get started on that. And here it is, the Lemax Spooky Town Wild West platform. All the buildings look fantastic. They blend in so well with the environment, and that's exactly what you want when you make a Lemax Spooky Town platform. As you can see, the mountain ended up looking amazing, blending in with the Spooky Town Dead Man's Mine. And so let's go through and see what we have with the lights on, and then we can move to the lights off. And I have the sound off just so it's easier. A bunch of these buildings could have sound, so I'm just gonna have it be silent. Anyways, start off with the sheriff's station. This one has a good amount of stuff around it. Then we have the hotel over here. It's kind of hidden away, so it gives you some depth, you know, there's not just one layer of buildings, you have to actually like look around past buildings to see others. So I love that one. Then here is where the Spooky Town Halloween Jamboree will go, if I ever get it. I did not put the cord through just because it's going to be a while before I get that piece if I ever do, and I don't want that sticking out and just not looking like it fits in. So, and obviously a hole in the middle of the Wild West is totally normal. Then we have the shooting range. Then let's move over to the morgue. So this one works perfect, everything, except this door, the spring does not work. And so it does not close when he goes back in. You just push it behind him. Then he'll push it when he comes back out. It also has some trouble knowing when to stop exactly. So it sometimes keeps going and you can hear the gear. Which, you know, when you get a good deal on something, oftentimes it's because it has something wrong with it, which is fine. This one took a lot of repairing, including back here. As you can see, filled in all those cracks, painted over it. I made a little video on how to repair that. So if you want to see that, check it out. Back here we have the W.E. Slabham Tombstone Quarry. Honestly, I'm fine with this one being hard to see because there's so much of it missing, and that conveyor belt does not work. So if someone's like trying to look back there, they'll see this little conveyor belt moving, right? So it worked out good. And then lastly, one of my favorite pieces I've ever purchased is this one, because it just is such a smooth animation. I love that there's two going at the same time. And on top of that, I just love the soundtrack on this one. So let's get the lights turned off, turn on a couple soundtracks, and get a feel for what this piece looks like. So there you go. That is how to make a Wild West themed platform for your Lemax Spooky Town Wild West themed buildings. I hope that you found at least one thing helpful in this video, and just know I was learning as I went along with this. I had some things that didn't work. I had to redo stuff. I had to take a bunch of extra time doing things that could have been prevented if I had known. So when you're making your platform, just know I have definitely met my fair share of challenges, and so it's totally fine if you do. Please don't give up. Make something really cool like this so that you can display it to your friends and family. But with that being said, make sure you stay tuned for the other two platforms, because I have a bunch of extra shelf space left. And I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.